Having completed our underpainting, now it's time to put a little bit of detail in there. And we don't need too much detail to make a realistic portrait. So we're going to use a hard pastel again. This time it's a dark grey. We'll start off around the eyes again, because the eyes and this part of the face are probably the most important aspect of your portrait. So again, using the sharp corner of the dark grey pastel, just flick back some little strokes, quite light, you don't need to be too heavy with this, just to suggest individual hairs as they grow around. This is where you really need to pay attention to your photograph or your subject now, because these little marks will show. So be observant, try to look for the clues in the photograph, the direction of the hair grows. Notice in the forehead, they're almost vertical at this stage. Tiny, tiny little flecks of fur. Be careful not to do, for example, long hairs on the forehead and shorter hairs in the neck. You need to vary the length of the hairs quite a lot as well. Generally speaking, they are shorter on the head, longer on the neck, and almost too small to paint on the nose. So that's why we won't bother with the nose too much. And it's just a little flicking stroke, lifting your pastel off to leave the sharp edges showing, and then again you can give a little soft rub if you want, just to help to push the strokes in. It will leave the edges nice and sharp and give you a good sense of the fur texture. So coming round the neck, notice these strokes are getting longer now, because the fur around the neck of course is thicker, shaggier. Snow leopard has this thick coat to keep him warm in the winter, so we need to get a sense of that thick coat as well. So nice curving, sweeping strokes around there. Again, little soft touches just to push it in. And the ears, again, vertical strokes. That's just enough of a suggestion of individual hairs. Longer on this side, again, because the hair inside the ears keep the animal warm in the winter. So nice long hairs there. And again, we'll just come down into the nose, but not all the way, because we don't want to waste time painting every single little tiny hair in the nose. So just a suggestion, and let it blend out. A little bit around the muzzle, up to the eyes again. Vary the angles a little bit as well, so that they're not all parallel lines. We don't want it to look like he's been to the hairdresser's and had a blow dry. And just to finish off, a little bit more around there. And that's it for our fur texture. Let's have a look now at the most important feature of our portrait, which is the eyes. We'll now take a sort of mid-green pastel, and what we need to do first of all is just cover the iris, the coloured part of the eye, with a base coat of green. The next thing we need to consider are reflections and highlights. In this case, the direction of the light is from the top right. It's usually from above somewhere. The coloured part of the eye needs to be highlighted a little bit. So we'll use yellow for this. And just highlight that green in the bottom left-hand corner. And finally what we need is a reflection. Now the reflection can be mountains, sky, sun, whatever is around. But what we'll do, we'll just give a little flash of light coloured sky along the top. So following the curve of the eye, like that. And then finally just a little dab of muted sunlight. Nothing too strong, because this was quite a misty, overcast morning. And just soften it off with the finger. Then what we need to do is take our black again and just reshape the eye. We've messed around with a bit of colour here and there, so it's important to get the strength of the eye back. So we'll start with little flicking strokes above the eyes for the eyelids, and then quite a nice hard edge to the eye and the rim below, and just re-strengthen the pupil again. Dab the black for the pupil rather than create a hard circle of black, because this tends to look a little bit cartoony. So we just dab the pupil in, and then we can come down to the tear ducts. Again, this is quite a dark shape. And there we have it. The next thing we'll deal with is the nose. What we're going to do with the snow leopard is quite a dark pink. We have a sort of very dark rose pink here. Now we're going to put an undercoat, if you like, of this dark pink on the whole of the nose. That little heart shape that we created earlier on. Again, just push it in with the finger. And then what we need to do is take our black and create the shadows by glazing or very softly applying black over the pink. So the black is not too black, not too cartoony. So gently stroke. You can do it light. You can always add a little bit more later on. It's better to do light layers, 2 or 3 of those, rather than one single heavy layer. It's easier to add than it is to take away. So finally we'll put a little highlight on top of the nose with white. Nothing too strong, it's not like a shiny dog's nose. And soften it with the finger, and that should do.